Welcome back to another episode of We're Local TV. My name is Tim Fondrick, and I am your host. And I'm excited to have my guest today, Dan Farrington. He is the Business Development Manager with BBSI. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Dan, we've known each other for quite a few years and had a chance to do some business together over the years. I'd love to just kind of let our listeners know kind of just a brief background. Like, I know you've been a business owner, you've been a coach, but maybe just give the high level view of kind of your experience and what led you to your current position.
Well, I always tell people I was born and raised in Newport, Oregon. I've raised 6 kids in this community in Salem, and all 6 graduated and all married now, and 6 granddaughters. And my wife is a patient advocate at Salem Health. And so I've started out going to college, get a degree in education, never taught a day in my life, and got into the business world as a sales rep because at that time, sales reps made twice as much as teachers did. So
Sure.
that was kind of the avenue I went, and led me to run the Rock and Rogers restaurants here in town for about 5 years, built it from 1 to 5 or 1 to 3 restaurants in 5 years, and had managed 53 employees, which is kind of mind blowing today.
Right.
And then I got into the medical industry doing independent medical exams for the work comp for a company that I was supposed to buy, and they ended up selling to somebody else. And so I decided to start my own in 2002 and ran that for 21 years, called Sunrise Medical Consultants. We did independent medical exams for the work comp throughout Oregon and Washington, and learned a lot around how to run a business, how to grow a business, how to manage employees, keep employees happy, keep the culture positive, and I had long-term employees with that. And recently we had to close the doors because of COVID, and was kind of looking, but not working hard. But a friend of mine introduced me to BBSI, and they needed someone to do business development, a manager for them. And it was intriguing because I love business. I love to see businesses grow. I like to find out how people got into business and maybe find out all the things I should have learned way back when I first started too. So, I always tell people being 63 years old, you got to continue to learn. You got to still, you have to give back into the community, but learn and willing to change. And then I've been a high school coach for 42 years. I've been coaching youth sports and high school varsity sports at many high schools, but recently the last probably 30 at South Salem High School where my kids went, and learned a lot about people and how to develop people and how to encourage people and watch them grow and that type of thing. But again, my life is centered around kids and watching them develop, but also businesses.
Well, and I know you're also which we can maybe touch on later, but you're also a mentor at Union Gospel Mission. Is that correct?
Yeah. So yeah, we go to Salem Heights Church, and my pastor there recommended that I go down there and be a mentor in 2017, which I was scared to death, and but it was the greatest experience I've ever had. I mean, it's just walking alongside men that had rough times and changed their life, and they're in their mid-40s that have nothing, and they just need a friend and someone that they could trust, and that's just been a blessing to me. And it's changed my relationship with God, especially. And then also now I'm currently on the board with Valor Mentoring that helps the youth, high school youth. And then also I'm on the board with Be Bold Street Ministries that actually go into the homeless camps and just help them get into the right care and help them with their drug addiction, alcohol addiction type things, and get them in the right environment to help them. And so I enjoy that. That's, to me, that's relaxation. I call it. But other people look at it as work.
Well, you've got just a few things going on. You're wearing a few hats.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
yeah, and as a former high school, very competitive soccer coach, but I only coached for 7 years, so hats off to you for doing as many years as you've done, because that's a huge time commitment. We certainly don't do it for the money, do we?
No, I don't think I've ever been paid. I remember if I've never been paid. Maybe once or twice, but
Yeah.
I do it out of pure joy. Yeah.
Great opportunity to develop people, and you mentioned culture, and we were talking a little bit ahead of starting the interview here today, just about like, it's the beginning of the year. We're early in the year still. You're talking to a lot of people already, and networking with them, and of course they're talking about their goals. But what are some of the things that like you would point out, or in your experience and your wisdom, like share with small business owners in our community, like what are some of the top things they can do to build a bigger network, to help them reach their goals?
Yeah. I tell a lot of people you got to be present. You got to go to things, and you got to be involved in our community in different ways. I know I see you at a lot of the places I go to is, you have to be at greeters. Even though they tell you not, some people tell you, no, you're not going to get any business there. But I talk about it's relationships. You got to get out and build that relationship. And I communicate with a lot. I go to about 7 different chambers throughout the Willamette Valley and
Oh,
for greeters and involved in that. And I go to their luncheons. And then Linda and I, my wife, Linda, we go to the Liberty House events. We go to the Marion County Food Share events. We people we donate to, we try to go to their events to be present.
yeah.
And I know my family doesn't like it, but I like to network at all those places, even though I'm there for the fundraiser and the thing, but I'm out like to talk to people. And then also, I ran for office twice. Of course, I lost both times, but it gave me a whole nother network of people to talk to that I would never have met before. So I look at it as a benefit that I did run, and I got to meet a lot of different type of people in many communities, and I can talk pretty openly about what's going on in our community or the business and that type of thing. So I think the one biggest thing is being present, be active,
Yep.
be vocal about your business. What are the values that your business brings to other people? I think values. I learned at a seminar a long time ago, but you really had to share your value of what your product brings to them and try to find that out. So that's the conversation. That's the relationship you build. Now, what does your company bring value to the other businesses in our community, and how active are they? Um,
Yeah.
and then I also say surround yourself with people that are not like you and be in a group. I'm in 2 Bible studies, but I don't. I look at it. We iron sharpen iron because they're all business people too. So we talk about different business strategies. So always have a group of guys or a group of women that you can share your daily problems and and all the issues you come about, and realize that you have all the same problems, but finding different strategies of how to achieve those things. And that's a huge network of that group of friends. So always try to find a group of friends that you can bounce stuff off of. You can freely talk in that environment. And then,
Love that. So being present, just making the connections, and then surrounding yourself with others. Yeah, were you going to add another one?
well, I like the cold call. I mean, I'm probably a knucklehead in that, but I like to just walk in and just, hey, how's your business doing today? How's business? How many employees do you have? If they let me talk that long, and then find out, who the owner is, and this is what my company BBSI does and provides, but I'm not here to sell that. I'm just trying to introduce myself, and
Yeah.
if it's a need, let me know. So again, be not afraid to cold call or ask questions. I mean,
Well,
and
but see, I love what you just said though, because I mean, you mentioned cold call, but I think so many times, and it's probably especially since COVID, like we all try to hide behind the computer screen, and or the email or social media, or picking up the phone to make a cold call. What you're talking about is a drop in. You're making a connection,
yeah,
which I think is a completely different ball game, because then people see, I mean, they see that you're a real person. You're not hiding behind a screen somewhere or whatever. And I think that just makes a huge difference.
right. And I enjoy doing that just because I like people, and you got to like people. I mean, and then different coffee shops in town. You go to Isaac's or Broadway or Ike Box or Starbucks, whatever. there's always someone in there you can network with and have a conversation with. And
Interesting. Yeah. No, I love it.
you look for a key place. I always say look for places where people hang out. And and business people meet all the time. And then I usually set 5 to 6 meetings that I've scheduled prior, and then the rest of the time, our company calls it a milk run. So I will go around, and that's the cold call of walking in and saying, "Hey, I'm Dan Farrington. This is what we do. Is there opportunity to get in front of the owner?" And then also know who your key people are that's going to build your business. Knowing, for us, we work with PNC brokers, we work with CPAs, we work with business coaches, all that. And we have a referral program that could be any of those people, but anybody that refers us, we have compensation back for them. So I'm constantly going in, trying to develop my referral partners that will give us clients that potentially could lead us to being using BBSI. So we call it a milk run. We're required to see 10 to 12 people like that a day. So that's easy for me because I can walk in most places and talk about their business. But I think the biggest thing that we look at for this year is we have to find different ways our business can grow. How's our business grow, and what other avenues can we use? And it depends on the business, right? This area I did all last year, did a great job. But is there anything outside of what I did last year that I can develop this year that I can grow too? Because when I had Sunrise Medical, I always tried to find different ways I could create income with all the things that I do have. And so that was something I always thought about.
What are some of the top things, like, again, as you're talking to a lot of people, I mean, what are some of the top ideas that could be maybe applied to a lot of different businesses in terms of like new growth this year? Does anything come to mind along those lines?
Well, I mean, everybody's business is kind of different. For instance, I talked to a guy that had a junk hauling thing, and he had a truck and a trailer. I mean, could you do more things with that truck and that trailer because it's already paid for? Is there more things that you could do with that truck and trailer besides haul junk? I mean, again, thinking a little bit more. It may take more time and work, but you have to build it early. The first 3 years are so important in small business because that you're probably taking out a loan, or trying to get a credit line. You're trying to do all this stuff. And again, you're working all the time. You got to find different ways to make income, but you want to try to be positive throughout that first 3 years, and just find different things that your business can do. But But I think I tell people is try to figure out a goals for the first 3 months, 4 months, and really try to achieve those goals and try to have true expectations of what you're going to do. Like, 2 hours a week, I'm going to make phone calls. Or for me, it's 3 hours a day. I'm going to go out and just walk into new business and just ask them what they do and what they're going. A lot of people say, "Hey, Dan, we're not interested," but at least I've made that connection and built a relationship. And my goal is to build the relationships that they will think of me if someone came up in conversation with the next conversation they have. They may not use me, but they say, "Hey, I know Dan Farrington. He does payroll, HR, work comp for this Willamette Valley. You should call him for that." So I always say, how can you build your toolbox bigger and be a resource? And I think that's kind of what I did at Sunrise Medical. I wanted to be a resource for all my competitors and my clients and all that. But now, me doing this individually, now I'm saying, hey, how can I be a resource for a good plumber, a good construction guy? Now I'm trying to find good bookkeepers. Now I'm trying to find people that can write insurance, medical benefits for people less than 10, because our company, once you get 10, we can do medical benefits for you. But if they're less than 10, we have to find somebody else. Or, and then startups, what do we do as a startup? So I've done a couple presentations about making sure they have a BIN number, FEIN number, and just all this stuff to get them in place, ready
All
to
the
go.
stuff that we don't think about. I mean, it was like, oh, I want to start a business. Now what?
Right.
That would be a good seminar, right?
Right. And then you start workers' comp, and then you say, well, our company's self-insured. It's all put into the payroll. It's done for you automatically. I mean, there's advantage of that. Of course, it costs a little bit of money, so people can't afford that right away. But eventually they can do it. And it's nice to, I always say it's nice to give someone else the responsibility versus your staff member.
Yeah. Well, and there's wisdom in finding things that you're really good at and letting somebody else take care of the rest. So, and like HR and like payroll and things that most people have no desire to really do, and finding the resource like yourself to and your company to take care of that. So
Yeah. And I'm not saying, you know, ours is a perfect company. You have to look at, I always say it has to be the right fit, right?
sure.
And the right company that meets your needs. And I like to educate. I always give people, I have a son who lives in LA. He has a partner and 8 employees. And I told him about all the things I did. And he's like, oh, then he had an HR issue and called me up. I said, well, I'm going to have the lady from Pasadena, because we're a national company, come over and talk to you about it. Why didn't he comes back? I didn't know you did all that stuff. I said, well, even if you use me or not, you know what to ask next time you need those services, and you need to find somebody that can help you out. And I think that's what we try to do as a coach, right? As a coach, we're trying to show them all the skills, all the tools. Then you have to decide how you're going to play.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. No, good words and good stuff there. Let's do a little rapid fire to kind of wrap
Okay.
this up, and then make sure that people know how to get in touch with you as well. So I appreciate you sharing what you've shared so far. So rapid fire. Let's see. What
Okay.
is do you have a favorite movie that you've seen lately?
Well, I watched the new Top Gun the other night. I love that
Okay.
movie. Yeah.
That's a good throwback, and it was well done on the remake. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
good.
I
Do
like the
you
strategy.
Yeah, very good. You mentioned some of the favorite coffee shops. Do you have a favorite restaurant in Salem or Albany?
Well, we like Vinties because I can walk down the hill to it here
Okay.
out south.
Yep.
Um, Margin Coffee Shop in Albany is one
Right.
of our favorite places to go have coffee when I'm in Albany. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. No, that sounds great. You mentioned several of the nonprofits you're involved with: UG Union Gospel Mission, Be Bold Street Ministries, and Valor Mentoring. So those sound like those are all near and dear to your heart. What is the number one thing, or one of the top things on your bucket list?
well, I want to be able to keep skiing. I mean, I grew up snow skiing, and I love to snow ski, and my body doesn't allow me to do it as much. So every year, my bucket list is to get on the slopes at least 2 or 3 times, and
That's
um,
awesome.
I love it. But I would say as far as a place to go would be actually Washington D.C. I've never been there,
Okay.
and I would love to go there.
That's great. So speaking of just kind of back to business and BBSI, like what it would be like the number one thing that you would love people to know about BBSI that maybe they don't know right now.
Well, it's a national company, but a local presence. So we have a local team that is actually connected by a cell phone. So if most payroll companies, people have to wait on an 800 number, you're going to be assigned a specific person. You know their name, they know you, and you have their cell number. And they work hard. Each team has a payroll specialist, HR specialist, and a risk manager on each team. We have 3 teams in the Willamette Valley, and they work hard to make it so easy for you and for you as a client. And but also we do business development, and that's something we'd like to sit down and just help you discuss where your business. We don't tell you how to run your business, but we give you ideas.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's awesome. So sounds like if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way to connect with you personally?
well, it's dan.farrington@bbsi.com, or I give everybody my cell number. I think every kid that I've coached has my cell number still.
Thanks.
So 503-930-5974. And yeah, great opportunity. At least have a discussion. That's what I
Yeah,
say.
well, I mean, I would say, have an opportunity to reach out and have coffee at one of your favorite spots,
Yeah,
and just have a conversation about business goals and connecting, and where you might be able to bring some value, and vice versa. So
yeah,
that's awesome, Dan. Thanks so much for being a guest on Our Local TV. We appreciate it, and we will definitely let's have coffee.
yeah. Let's do it.
All
All
right.
right. Take
Sounds
care.
good. Thanks, Dan.